So hello everybody, welcome to Tyania, the Tyania stream, the introduction stream for Tyania. Thank you all very much for joining me on Twitch. This is not the usual thing that I would do on this channel, but some souls have shown interest in it. What we just saw was a little bit of an introduction video, a little trailer, if you will, to the world. So what I'd like to do for this stream is spend a couple minutes here. Just now it's me, all silly, just introduction to the stream and what we're going to be doing for the next 90 minutes or so, and then I'm going to play another video which is about 10 minutes long that really gives like a more in-depth version about how the world works and everything like that. And then we'll have a Q&A session in which I'm hoping that will sort of like guide us around different areas of the site and the projects, and also we can then relate that back to what you guys have in your projects and things like that, and hopefully it'll inspire me, hopefully it'll inspire you. I am recording this to put it on the Tyania website as well, on the YouTube channel, just for prosperity, I guess. So thank you all very much for joining me for today, and hello Barefoot and Death, welcome in. Thank you Lost. Yeah, that video took me 2.5 hours to do. This next one took me longer, but it is longer. But this is what I do when I'm not at work. So I don't know, Paul. That's something we can win about. I'm Tyania, so it's I suppose it'll be Tyaniites. That's the one I like more. Tyaniites or Tyaniites. I like Tyaniites, but what I will say, which I don't think is in the main video, is that Tyania is a term for the planet as a whole, but there's 3 eras, as it says in that video we just saw, and people will refer to the era name for their world, so they won't really say Tyania. That's the all-encompassing world. So if they live on Iosia, they would say the world is Iosia and that kind of thing. This is explained on the website, but wasn't on that. But to answer your question, I reckon it's Tyanians. I think Tyanians is nice. Right, I am going to now, unless anyone has anything really pressing, play the other video, and then we can get into the meat and veg of the stream, which is someone might ask a question and I'll say that's a great question. We'll go over to the website and we'll talk about that, or however it works. I don't know. It's a bit of free form type thing, and we'll just see where we go. Yeah, crows are cute. Yeah, they are. Yeah. All right, I'll just pause this for a second, and then we'll get on to the next video. And welcome to this introduction to Tyania. Tyania is a fantasy setting upon which the stories I've written, games that I've created, are set upon. This is a quick video to introduce you to the setting, as well as the projects which I've been producing for it. The website will be the primary source for all information, and I'll be producing more videos in the future. This is just to get us started, and to get you acquainted with the world and what this is all about. Some of you may be aware that I'm no stranger to this, and previously developed a world called Iosia, along with a website. That site is still there, and so is Iosia, but it's currently being reworked alongside this wider world, Tyania, that I'm trying to create. Eventually, I'm going to migrate everything from iosia.com onto Tyania.com, as there's currently a bit of a crossover. So, what is Tyania? Here we see the lands of Tyania. Tyania is roughly the size of Earth, has 1 sun and 1 moon. Tyania is divided into 3 distinct eras, each is its own setting. The first era is Ter Limissae, though it's more widely known as the Age of Wonder. Following this comes Iosia, also known as the Era of Strife. Finally, we have the world of Agneton, the Era of Ending, which follows Iosia. Thousands of years and several events separate these eras. In this video, we'll look briefly at each era, what it's like, what happens there, and what happened for one era to transition into another. The first two eras are set on a small section of Tyania, about the same size as Europe. The Era of Wonder. The Era of Wonder is a magical land full of enchanted forests within which mythical beasts roam. Humans in this setting are living in caves and trying not to be eaten by the giants, ogres, dragons, griffins, and other beasts that roam the vast wilderness of the world. The Era of Wonder has three primary races: the dwarfs, who rule over their mountain holds; the Tarchi, an angelic race of magic users which rule over the skies; and the Aetia. The Aetia were a frail, curious race who delved into astronomy, alchemy, herbalism, and dabbled in magic. They were secretly jealous and even resentful of the Tarchi, who they envied in nearly every way for their beauty and magical prowess. One day, the Aetia discovered an ancient city named Kralos. In this city, they found an artifact called the Magical Conduit. With this artifact, a giant wheel made of alien metal, they were able to dabble in the dark arc of magic. This corrupted them, or at least their High Council and their Queen, who were possessed by terrible and powerful demons. These demons turned many of the Aetia against the Tarchi and declared war on them. The demons, known as the Six, wanted to destroy the Tarchi city of Tyania, as it was a beacon of light which was preventing them from taking physical form. So a mighty battle raged. The Tarchi called upon the aid of the dwarves and even the dragons, and both heeded the call. A great melee was fought, and culminated in a massive burst of magical energy as the conduit was damaged. This was known as the Sundering. The magical blast was so powerful that it caused flooding and earthquakes and altered the geography of the world itself. In the centuries that followed, the dark arc of magic corrupted the land, its creatures and its plants. The Aetian civilization was over, the Tarchi destroyed, and the spirits of the Six were forced to retreat to Kralos since their mortal hosts were obliterated in the blast. The Era of Wonder was over. The Era of Strife, Iosia, began. Iosia, the Era of Strife. Iosia is a post-apocalyptic fantasy world. It has evolved from the ruins of the Age of Wonder and is a place of uncertainty and conflict. Many events occurred both in the development and history of Iosia and, while they'll likely be focused on in another video, for now we'll look at parts of Iosia in its current canonic year, 688. Let's have a look at some areas of the map. Gria is what remains of the Aetian homeland. Those Aetia who were corrupted by the Dark Arc during the Age of Wonder became the Grial. These warlike warrior mages worship twisted gods and are driven to capture slaves and invoke evil rituals. Aun is just next door. It was to this region that the Aetia, those who weren't influenced by the dark magic, fled. There, they banded with the humans they met, taught them many things, and founded a civilization. This was the first human realm, though it came to a ruin half a century ago when the Grial invaded, destroying most of what had been built. Arundel was once a land of humans also. They were rugged folk, woodsmen and hunters. That didn't do them any good when, through terrible circumstance, one of the Six, the demons that were responsible for the Sundering, was summoned forth. Though the demon was eventually destroyed, Arundel was left as the land of the dead, where undead things roam the cities and towns, and the city port of Lombe is the only place of any safety for the remaining living folk. Rune, until recently, was the mightiest human realm, united under its noble queen. That was until, just over 20 years ago, the queen was infected with vampirism, and her line came to an end. These days, Rune is a fractured land of warring city-states, as each noble feels they are the one true and right ruler of Rune. There are other lands also, as you can see, but as this demonstrates, there are very few safe spaces to dwell on Iosia. Agneton, the Era of Ending. The Era of Ending is so called because, as far as many of the races are concerned, that's what it was. Magic died out, and so with it did the Aetia, the Grial, and many other races. Only the humans and a handful of dwarves could adjust to a world without magic, along with several kinds of animal we might recognise here on Earth. Why did magic end? Was it a gradual process or some epic event? That fact is simply not known at this time. With the wars between the different races out of the way, humans swiftly colonised most of the known world. They developed technologies and sciences and replaced magic with computers and swords with tanks. The humans spread too quickly and too greedily, stripping the world of many of its resources as they went. Eventually, they were forced to retreat into massive cities, known as megatropolises, to escape the arid deserts and hostile wastelands they were creating. Within these gargantuan cities, up to 500 million people live and work under the watchful gaze of the Agency. The Agency is a totalitarian government that rules over the cities. Once a successful business organisation, the Agency spread its influence into all aspects of life, from security to news outlets, until it was able to manipulate and control every part of government. It became the government. It became the Agency. Those living under Agency rule do so with very little free will at all. Careers are assigned, movement is monitored, habits are noted and corrected. Outside of the cities can be found shanty towns, roaming nomads, and bands of brigands and outlaws. While free from Agency rule, such a thing comes at the cost of security, stability, and the risk of death on a daily basis. This world, Agneton, is a setting that came into being because of one character. A character that's not really seen the light of day too much, but hopefully, with some dedication, he'll get his time to shine. And there we have it. A quick rundown of the planet of Tyania with its different eras. Currently, the website is host to a few older stories. I've not written anything in a number of years, and I don't want to say that that will immediately change, but it's one of the aims of the project. You can also find 2 pen and paper systems, one for Eosia and one for Agneton, that work in a similar way to Dungeons & Dragons. The Agneton one is, I feel, generally a better system, and another thing I'd like to do is bring the Eosia RPG in line with the way that one works. There's also Deep Deadly Dungeons, a standalone board game available for free on Tabletop Simulator. This is also in development, and is only connected to the lore quite loosely, but is a project I put a lot of work and effort into, and one I'm pretty proud of. If you'd like to know more and keep in touch about the project, then there are Twitter and Discord accounts you can follow that will be updated with the latest news. I'll also produce videos for major updates and record sessions of the aforementioned games if they happen. I might also do a live stream or two. All the links are in the video description. My plan is to do a bit of work on this every week on a Sunday morning. Whether that will be a public update or just a small piece of work in the background, I hope to maintain that. Please feel free to nag me so that I get that done. Finally, I'm always on the lookout for creative types to help, especially if you're in the field of artistry and graphic design. These are areas that aren't my forte at all, so if you feel you can lend a hand with either, then please let me know. Some people have already helped in the past. You can find these on the credit page of the website. That's it for this video. Thanks so much for the interest you've shown in this, and I hope you and I have fun seeing how Tyania develops and see what stories grow and develop from it. Toodaloo. Alrighty, so that's that part of the video done. Let me know about the music if it's too loud or whatever. We're listening to Chilled Set Mix 2018, 2 hours of it. There's a link if anybody's interested. So 2 videos there. One, it's a bit loud for chill. Yeah, I don't really know how to fix that because it's really, oh, hang on. I'll do it on here. There we go. That'll be better. That should be better. Okay, cool. That should be a better mix. So this is where we can, so there's 2 videos. One was like just a trailer to get people's kind of interest, and then the other one was a bit more in depth, but still has a lot of gaps here and there. So it's like 3 games in one with different eras. No, there's not 3 games, there's 3 eras, and there could be different games and stories within those eras. Now, honestly, the first era, the era of wonder, is more like a prerequisite for Iotia, the era of strife. It's an era that doesn't hugely interest me beyond the events of the Sundering and how that happens, and how that then developed into all the different races and regions of Iosia. So on the website it actually says, and this may be a little harsh, I may reword it, but it says, unlikely that I'll be producing any content that deals with this era specifically. That's not really true, but much more content that should be. Because, yeah, this is like almost the Dark Ages, if you like, and everything was in tranquility, and then the Atia came along and ruined it with their meddling and stuff. You like the transition? Seems natural. Good. So you can't stick around. Kitimu needs his meds. Aw. Hope you Kitimu gets on his feet soon, and do keep us informed, Ginger. Thank you very much. Sitting after 10 minutes, never be of going back to ladder. I don't blame you. Don't blame you, Rube. So this whole thing about like the event, the Sundering and such, I've been like battling with this for quite a while. It's gone through several rewrites. And I'm pretty happy with the way it is now. I've kind of reworked it and taken some things out and changed the way certain things occurred and things like that. You like the concept, something for everyone? I hope so, yeah. I mean, at the end of the day, there are three settings, two really, that really appeal to me. We've got like post-apocalyptic fantasy, and then we've got pretty much, guys, a mixture between Judge Dredd and Mad Max. And I love those two settings. So I've pretty much got these giant cities and then this massive barren wasteland, which I know is like in Judge Dredd as well. But there's more in the wasteland than there is in Judge Dredd. Also use similar calculus for homebrew giant meteorite. Judge Max Dredd. maybe, you know, maybe I can add, if I do write stories within Agneton, I'm going to write those down, because I could use that. I like that. Hang on, let me get... I'll have to turn the light on and stuff, because it's suddenly got dark. But I like that, because they could be two, like, very... like, little nods. So I'm gonna write those names down. And Mad Dread. I mean, Mad Dread's a great name, right? That can be some kind of like outlaw king or something, right? I like that. So it's a world of three eras with games and stories and such that we'll build upon in the future, and people can use the base law for creating stuff. So kind of like, what is SPC? Don't use. I don't know what that is. Oh, what is that? What is that? Exactly, Tail. But yeah, pretty much computer. Yeah, I don't know whether, like, I'm not going to flatter myself by thinking that other people are going to use it for. Well, you say creative stuff, which is nice. But if they want to like play one of the role-playing games that we've got, you know, either IoT RPG or Agneton RPG, or even like Deep Daddy Dungeons, which is kind of really loosely fit into this, but you can make it so, then brilliant. But I like to connect everything that I do. So that's why I kind of created the setting, and because I kind of like a little bit of dystopian fantasy and stuff like that, and I also like, you know, like say Judge Dredd and that kind of thing. I've decided to meld it all together. Like, how can I get all these elements to fit? You saw a typo. Physical copies do not exist. I will have to. Oh God! Like, where the hell is that? Hi, Deviate. Hang on. Mind you, I won't be doing any exist. Nice. Any corrections and stuff now, but I'll put a little note of that. Got it. So the map, you happen to know if it was done in Wonderdraft? I do happen to know if it was done in Wonderdraft, because indeed, I made it. The map, we'll go to, this is the main map of Iosia. It's the most detailed map that we have. Stands for Secure, Contain, Protect. Thanks. Yeah, I didn't know what that was. Yeah, I didn't know what that was. No idea. Yeah, Death, absolutely. One of the things that Death has really helped with in the past is corrections and things like that. And while I wouldn't assume that that would happen again, if it does, I wouldn't mind. Oh, it lost Ocean? Yeah. It's only lost because it's hard to get there, right? It's the only reason. Silly. So yeah, I used Wonderdraft to create all the maps that we see here. The map has had a bit of a rework since the days of Iosia. We can actually have a look at that as well, although I don't think I have a very big... It's going to work. I don't think the... Oh, it's kind of... I can't zoom in on it either. But this is the old map, and I can't make it any bigger. Maybe I could save it and stuff, but I don't want to mess with it too much. And I've... Oh god, where's... It's lost me map. But I've redesigned it to be a bit more akin to what I need it to. And open image in new tab. Let's do that then. I've got to see, it's just lost this one now as well. This is the old one. So we've got Greel down here. We've got a country called Magador. Oh god, which doesn't exist anymore. This was a map that was drawn for me by someone whose name I actually forget right now. And that they hand drew it, and it was freaking awesome. But because of the redesign, I couldn't hand draw the map. But we've... See, Magador and Malarai don't exist anymore. I've like cut back on things. Malarai was the lost kingdom of the Aetia, and the Aetia now have become the Greel. So Malarai and Gria are now the same thing. I've combined them both together. And that kind of thing. So I redesigned it to be more of what I kind of needed. And I'm pretty happy with this one, and I'm pretty happy with how it is. Back to work. That sucks. Thank you for helping, Rube. Thank you. Because what I wanted was a world that could work physically and have some kind of interesting dynamics. So, for example, like Rune and Aun. I hope you can see my mouse cursor all right. They're the two main settings for like people to live in. So Aun has been half destroyed by the Gria, who came along, destroyed Harrogate, Pinnacle, and Melislonoth here. They're all in ruin now. But it's still got half a country left. And then Rune is more like if anyone's played Mountain Blade, that sort of like warring city-state type of thing, where they used to have a very strong country that was very stable and such, but has since fallen into disrepair and stuff. But these two countries are separated by either the steppes, which is a freaking long way to go, or through the Scar, which is shorter from Braithor to Harrogate, but it's through mountainous terrain with monsters and you know, like really hazardous things, whereas the steppes is a bit safer, but you've got to brave the land of the dead, Orendor. Do love how Wonderdraft's smooth and rough coastline features happen to be used a lot when I made maps. It's a brilliant tool. If anyone needs to make any maps, by the way, I would heartily recommend Wonderdraft. How do you have half a country? Wouldn't that be a country? Or do you mean physically? What I mean is that half of it's in ruins, though. computer. That's what I mean. Like, these have been destroyed, so they're either abandoned or currently being fought over. So what I mean by half of it being that half of it is, like, you know, livable without being at war, if you see what I mean. I've got a link to Wonderdraft actually in the down at the bottom here. We've got a credits thing, and we've got all the artistry that's actually on the site. But right down the bottom here, we've got a link to Wonderdraft. It's a really good tool. Wonderdraft.net. If anyone's interested in drawing maps and such, the maps. Really recommend you check out that for your projects. There's also one called Dungeon Draft as well, which does exactly the same thing, very similar interface, but for dungeons. So not worlds, but places, if you like, and that's good also for creating like towns and cities and things like that as well. I've used that for certain like online games that we've made. These are all the X games that we've played in the past of Iosia RPG. These are currently hosted on the old YouTube channel. I shall make a point to like migrate them off there and onto the new one, if and when I feel that they're sort of like required. I won't be taking them all off, but some of these I think are pretty good and still worth doing. And there's the 24-hour live stream game from a year ago. By the way, in a month's time, 24-hour live stream. Just saying for charity, and this was last year, and it was a game of Deep Deadly Dungeons. So that'll be definitely put onto the new site because that's very relevant of what we've got here. And as somebody mentioned, who saw that V on the Ginge, yes. So you saw the Variax sign on the introduction video, and yeah, that is because this is pretty much designed for the character Variax, which of course is my name on the internet, and it's just a name that I thought like sounded cool. It's so I just kind of like started calling it myself that. But originally it was a character in a role-playing game that I did a little while ago. How do I know you and Variax aren't the same person? Because Variax is I had to make an acronym of it. So he's a versatile elimination reconnaissance infantry, batch A number 10. And I'm not that. So that's how we know Paul. So he's pretty much a super soldier that's gone wrong, if you like. He was also a bounty hunter in a game in Necromunda that I played once. So I thought that was those. And that's like his very first. Exactly right. Exactly, computer. And that was his first. Incarnation is the word I'm thinking of. But how I kind of see Agneton is almost like an 80s action film type thing, because you're talking about Judge Dredd and Mad Max and that kind of thing, and I'm also thinking about like Kurt Russell films like Snake Plissken, like Escape from LA, and like Soldier and stuff like that. And I really love that kind of stuff. So Agneton, I think, is going to be a great setting for films and stories and games like that. Whereas I think Iosia is going to be a little bit more gritty. Went rogue throwing axes in volcanoes. No. That's a really obscure reference. Put a lot of work into this. How many hours? Years. Works. Absolute years. I haven't touched this for 4 years. 4 years ago, I said I was taking a break. I never went back to it. I think I did one live stream a little while ago, maybe like 2 years ago. to touch base with it. But this year, I thought to myself, I'm going to get back into this, and really kind of like make a go of it, if you like. So I had 2 weeks off, made the website, wrote pretty much everything you see on the website here, and allocated a time to do stuff in for it, which is going to be on Sunday mornings, as I say in that video. Sunday mornings, I'm going to work on this for at least 2 hours, because kind of like a bit of like extra time I have. So when I wake up Sunday mornings, before I go shopping with my mum, I am going to write stuff for this, and I might put stuff on the Discord for it to say I've updated this or that. Or it might just be like a private little thing, I don't know, but I'm going to definitely try and do it. And what I recommend, and I really hope that you guys say, so any updates on Tyania, by the way? The greatest danger of long breaks is that you start reworking everything and basically start all over. Danger, yes, but also RM works kind of an asset, because every time I kind of rework the world, and I've done it a couple times now, and it's gone through various kind of like iterations, I think it gets better and better and gets more filtered down to what I want. So this rework now I think will be the last rework, and right now everything is very bare bones and the detail isn't there, but the sort of like wider arc of stuff is. And over the coming weeks, months, years, I'm going to fill in all the cracks. But now I've decided to just like, I've got all the building blocks in place now, so I've got all the big stuff sorted out about what goes where and who that is and what's going on there and all that kind of stuff. The only big thing that I don't have, that I'm not really sure about, the big sort of like major world thing, is the transition between Iosia and Agneton. Magic dies out. How that happens, I don't know. Whether there's a catalyst for it that's possibly the basis of some sort of like story to tell, and then it happens, whether it's like a sudden thing, like overnight suddenly there's no magic, or whether it's over certain years. I'm not really sure. And currently at this stage it doesn't particularly matter. I think it will be, because it'll take like a long while for things that are magic based to die out anyway. So I do have, if we look at the world overview, I believe I've got a timeline all the way down here where it takes, so it takes 500 years. So this is the Iosia year, so 500 years for magic to dissipate completely. That could change, but pretty much, and then another 2,000 years to us to actually get into Agneton, to where humanity is developed to kind of a stage where it is now on Earth, but not quite. There are certain things that they have that we don't, and vice versa. So the stories will be narrated by you or on the new channel. I'm not going to narrate my stories. I don't particularly like doing that. The only way I'll do that is if I was taking the piss out of myself. So, like I've done in the past with certain terrible stories that I've done. So I don't think I will be like reading my stories to you. I'll be like, I've written a story, here it is. And I might do like a little excerpt, like a little bit of it, but I won't be like reading the entire stuff. I don't think that's something that I would particularly do. I started to work on my world some 30 years ago, showing your age. And now I've started to put things together, reworking everything over and over again. Yeah, it is a danger if you keep thinking, I'm not happy with this, I'm not happy with that, etc., etc. I really think the break did me a lot of good with this, because I forgot about it completely. I didn't forget about it, but I forgot so many details. After 4 years, you just kind of like forget so much stuff, and then you come back to it, and then these moments of clarity appear. Like, why don't I just come, like those two areas that I've combined? It's like, why don't I just do that, and that kind of stuff. So it's really helped just to come back to it, and focus and kind of filter down all the stuff that didn't need to be there. So I'm really happy with that. Many years ago I started writing science fiction universe. It's going to be grand. I put at least 5 hours into it, but lost all interest in it. Is that something? Well, yeah, I mean, you remember it though, Lex. If you go back to it, right? If you still have all those notes and stuff, you'd find like a couple things in there that you're like, huh, that's actually really good. And you'll really find the bits in it that you'll feel were the building blocks of the whole thing. And the rest of it you kind of built around it, and that's kind of what I've done. Is I've just found the bits that that are cemented into the DNA of the thing, if you like, and then you can build things around that. What's the source of magic? All right, so magic comes from two areas. So magic pretty much is just kind of there, and then dark magic comes in later. So dark magic comes in through a portal to a realm called Inferis, which is pretty much hell. It's where the demons come from, like in Doom, you know. And so dark magic corrupts everything. So it's quite possible that the other areas of magic, wild, earth, and light, also come from different areas as well, different planes of existence, and then they eventually maybe just fizzle out. I don't know. Now the whole like planes thing, going into different kind of areas of existence and stuff, doesn't appeal to me at all. I don't want to get into that. So we're going to go into the earthen realm to try and do this. No, that's like just something I'm not interested. But there are demons in the world which came into the world which weren't there before, which is the catalyst for change into Iosia. So there has to be some kind of external thing, and I made that this ethereal thing. Now, of course, no, magic wasn't corrupted in dark magic. Dark magic's like another thing. It's a different kind of input, if you like. Did it have air fryers? I don't think so. Do you see your world being explored in different game systems? Dungeons and Dragons, Pathfinder, Shadowrun, Titans, Grey Fantasy Age, or of course some homebrew stuff would be needed. Absolutely. What I would kind of hope is that I would develop systems good enough to do that instead, but I'd be flattered if the world got to a stage where other people were setting games in it, and I wouldn't care what system they were using. So absolutely. Do I see it? No. Would I like it? Yeah. Another thing with the dark magic that and this is what talking and verbalizing thing really does, is that, see, here's Iosia here, right? We've got all the rest of this. So maybe dark magic comes from somewhere over here, because here's Kralos, where the Dark Conduit was discovered, and that's the thing that messes everything up. So maybe that brings in dark magic from over here, which, you know, was sort of concentrated over there, and then it's brought in there, and then we can kind of like not do the Inferis thing, which you can tell I'm not that invested in either anyway, because if we go into this and look at Inferis, it's got... Double click here to add your own text, because I haven't written anything for it. So maybe there's a bit of stuff into there, and I will just write that down. So because all this stuff, no one knows what's there in the first two eras. It's completely unexplored, because people have got other things to worry about. All the content where they are, so no one really looks. Hello, Dan the Angry. How are you? Welcome in. How are you? I'm sure it was You never know, Wex. You never know. You want to do that for me? You want to go and check? Just go and have a little look. The good stuff comes out when you go back to a project. Exactly, yeah. And that's the sort of like stuff that you really want to hang on to and think, oh yeah, okay, right, I'll keep that, and I'll keep that, and whatever. The magic wasn't corrupted, actually. Yeah, it wasn't. How does magic mystery thing from DDD tie in? Is reflection of IOC of magic or just a game mechanic? Yeah, it's a reflection of that, because you have the 4 different types of magic that are like battling all over the place, and so the more you use a type of magic in an area, the more it is, the more powerful it becomes there. So, and that's like in a micro little cosm from Deep Blade Dungeons, where you type, you cast more earth magic or earthen magic, and there's more. It's easier to cast earth magic after you've done that a few times. Have you heard of Arcane Ugly? I have not. That magic is a colonization force. See, it wasn't. It didn't try and get into the world. It was brought in, and then because of course it's dark and evil, it then corrupts everything. So, but it's not like what's the word? A sentient entity, if you like. What's the north? Just the poles. I think this is just like a frozen wasteland. I don't think there's anything there. There'll be monster there. That's why no one's looked there for pretty much. There could be like scary things here. I don't know. This Iosia is jam-packed full of stuff that I've still got to like work on. So that's why I'm concentrating on this rather than all of this. That's got a sort of time frame, right? Is the world flat around? It is round. I know that normally they're flat, right? But yeah, this is round. So kind of more. So kind of the more of kind of magic that's channeled, the more source that magic seeps into the world. The more that's broad there, I wouldn't say it seeps into the world, especially with magic that isn't dark, so light, earth, and wild. But it's not really seeped into the world. There's not more of it. It's just brought to that area. So, oh yeah, the Halo. Sorry. It could, no. Let's not, alright? Let's not. Have all the Sunlands going to be mapped out? Yeah, no, not named. It's good to keep mystery in a world. Yeah, it is. And it's an interesting sort of balance to keep, you know, because if you like do too much of it, then you're obviously blagging it, right? You're obviously like, oh, well, no one knows type thing. But it's also nice to have a few question marks to add a bit of wonder, and also for maybe future expansion and development as well. But yeah, all the Sunlands have been mapped out. So yeah, this just goes into like frozen Northlands and the poles, and it's just there's nothing there except snow and ice and wind, and yeah, I don't think it'll be a particularly nice place to be. But yeah, all this is that's the entirety of the world. And yeah, across this there's going to be a couple of cities that we're going to place. I think I have a small map of that, although it's not very good. Yeah, there it is. In fact, I haven't made a bigger link to it because I'm like, yeah. So I just put these these red blobs, blue blobs, where I think the cities might be, but they might not as well. Another thing with this as well is that there's like one government governing the entirety of all these cities, called the agency. But whether each city is kind of self-governing, if you like, and I do know that for the greater good, one of the cities is eliminated. It's the agency. Paul, yeah, it's removed as one of the cities because they couldn't. It wasn't sustainable to keep it along with everything else, so they decided that it was to be removed, and so it was, and that proves the catalyst for Variax to get off where he grew up and stuff, because he went AWOL on an island for a training mission, and he grew up on this island, And then one day he sees on the horizon either this kind of battle or this thing happening, giant explosion or whatever, and that kind of like kicks him into gear and be like, right, you get out this island and find out what's going on. So have I seen Colony? No, I haven't. Is that I don't know what that is. I don't know what that is. I mean, is that a TV series? Is it a film? What is it? I don't know what that is. I mean, I'll take a look. TV show aliens put people into giant walled cities. No clue. I don't watch a lot of TV. Doesn't ring any bells either. I mean, obviously I've been influenced by things I have seen in the past. And one of the punishments is rendition. It's basically what you describe, or when they remove a city, when it's when that city's been naughty or whatever, and it's just like erased. That's interesting. But no, it's not something that I've I only watch 80s. I have seen a lot of 80s action movies. Yeah, a lot of Arnie and Stallone and all that kind of stuff. So that definitely plays a big influence in Agneton. Mad Max, obviously, and I haven't seen a lot of Judge Dredd in terms of like the comics. I'm not a big comic book fan. But one of the things that the Stallone version did well, one of the few things it did well, was the city of the Mega City 1, the setting of that. I was really kind of intrigued by that and how that worked, and just this massive humanity, which I know is bigger than the world I've got here, because I mean I think Mega City 1's the size of Florida or something, right? But that intrigued me, and these cities, I think some areas might be as bad as that, but I think on the whole they are fairly ordered. Because another thing that I'm kind of interested in is how people can be like controlled and manipulated by the media and things like that, and kind of topical for the time, but everyone's like susceptible to it. And if an entity has an agenda and has complete control over everything in the world, you know, every source of media or whatever, which is what kind of has happened here, how they could indoctrinate an entire like population. So that's kind of what has happened here. And I think that life in the cities in general is okay, but you know, no free will and that kind of stuff. And that's one of the things that I'm kind of vague on in terms of how it works, and it is one of the things that I'm going to look at moving forward. I'll get to that at the end of the stream, because that's what I'm going to do for the next month. But I'll get into the specifics of it later. Do they have robots? Yes, because everyone loves a good robot, right? So they do have robots, but I don't think they're particularly effective. Or the ones that are, there aren't many of them. SLA Industries, a pen and paper RPG for Smith for a dystopian mega city controlled by a single monolith entity. Okay. The thing is with doing that is that I don't want to like copy stuff. But I do have like a pretty clear idea about kind of like what I want. Inspiration isn't copying. No, of course it isn't. No. And that's a debate actually that we've had numerous times on the writing streams as well, is like originality and inspiration and copying, and how it's so hard to get away from being inspired without copying, because it happens in games as well. Do you have a license in mind now? I did register the old Iosia with a organization, so which actually, to be honest, contains an awful lot of this stuff, but it'll run out. It'll run out now, so I'll have to do that again. So I'll have to get onto sort of the legal side of it, you know. But again, I don't know whether it's a safe thing to do. It didn't cost that much to sort of like register this with a organization. I forget what they are, and they sort of like hold that and say, right, so if anything crops up with this, we can say you thought of this first, you know, type thing. So it's not a strict copyright, but I don't want to get into legality because I know that's a whole minefield in itself. But there isn't much complete originality left these days. Paul, I think that's a myth, frankly. I think that one day there was originality, and then the next day it just vanished, and we started copying off other things. That never happened. Is there a power source, still fossil fuels, or more advanced? Bit of both. They do have vast mining operations in the wilderness, but they also do a lot of renewable kind of like stuff as well. But I don't think it's like feasible with the massive amount of energy they need to just rely on like tidal and that kind of stuff. And they also I think actually came up in the outer world as well. They recycle people as well, which I don't know is going to be a public knowledge thing. I'm not really sure, but yeah, they're really struggling to power these gargantuan cities, which is one of the reasons why they have to close one of them down. Originality is merely finding a new permutation of things that already exist, smash them together, get a new hue. All colors already exist, no matter of what you want to paint them. Yeah, I mean that happens with games. You know, when I play a new game like The Outer Worlds, oh, this reminds me of this, that reminds me of that, and that happens with every single game that I play. If people haven't seen it, they'll automatically like refer it to something they already know, and that would have happened across history with everything. There are some like really sort of game-changing things that come along, like Lord of the Rings, for example, really just like redefined fantasy. But that would have taken influence from other things as well. So it is impossible to be completely original because everything you know is related to something else. You know, so every thought you have has a basis on something you already know, type thing. So, hi Sharky, welcome in. How are you? Got to recharge my phone. Sorry, Grandpa. Okay. Welcome in, Shaggy. How you doing? Welcome in. But yeah, we've had a number of debates about originality and such like that, and I think that the conclusion I've come up with is that you shouldn't worry about it too much. And like I've said, it's I've just pretty much said it's influenced by this, and this, because it's just best to come clean about it. I like Aaron Weiss said, put two things together. So I thought, right, Judge Dredd plus Mad Max, you know, and then just add a little bit of this and that in it, and obviously the background with Iosia. And there's actually something bubbling around with this as well. Exactly Aaron works, right? Exactly. Which is, it's not actually in here. If we go to the world overview, Agniton 2.0, I've called it. And that is where magic comes back, and that's where you would have demons versus sort of modern day weaponry and stuff like that. And I think what would Variax would get involved in that, and it would involve the magical conduit, and that either being repaired or destroyed, haven't decided which, and creating like a second sundering, and so like magic floods back into the world, and there's hordes of demons and everything, and they attack the cities and that kind of thing, and that would be sort of the end of Agniton. So that's a whole different type of thing, like in the future of Agniton. That's something that appeals to me as well. But that's just something that that is sort of bubbling around in my head, because the agency have a military, but I'm not sure why. Because they control the entire world. So why do they need a military? Is it against like other cities? So they all work kind of on the same way, but kind of autonomously. I wouldn't have thought so. Or is there something else, right? And again, I've got this big map here, right? So there could be something else here, and again, if there's some like darkness down in this corner that maybe the agency know about, because magic died out, right? But all of the remains of Iosia and indeed whatever else was over here is still there. So you've got all the skeletons and stuff of dragons and griffins and all that kind of stuff. So and dwarves still exist as well. And dwarves are freaking old, so some of them might even remember, or at least remember what their father told them about the old world. So they know that magic existed, and they know that demons existed and stuff like that. So maybe the agency keep a military just in case, and maybe they know a little bit more about something, and maybe there's some kind of danger that even I don't know about yet, some sort of like threat of something happening. Or maybe there are some like demons hanging out down here, and they need a military to kind of keep them away, because you keep upkeep morals and tidiness. The obvious answer to like why keep a military is public order, but that's what the police force is for, right? Not the military. It's when things get a little bit escalated. That's when the military comes in, and the military is there because Variax is there, and he's a military project to create a super soldier. Why do they need super soldiers? These are things I don't know yet, and I kind of like not knowing, and I'm confident that things will kind of fall into place. There are marauders from the wastelands. Yep, indeed. That's another thing. I don't think that there'll be as many marauders in what's called the off-grid world. It does. Yeah, you mean that's his tail, and then it's got like limbs. It's a bit of a stretch. Where military vacuum appears, it'll still be filmed one way or the other. I guess so. So the off-grid world, like I say, the Mad Max type of wasteland type of thing. This is this is all I've got. Paul, Ragneton. The only other thing I have is this, which is just a couple of little dots on a map, which can change easily. So I don't really have a map of Agneton, but all we need to know currently about Agneton is vast wasteland, couple of cities dotted around with up to 500 million people. I think the biggest city I'm going to have is like 500 million people, which is a lot of people. And the lowest is going to be like 100 million. Whether they're connected or not by like roads or some sort of like supersonic train or something going from place to place, don't know. Possibly. You mean two big countries? Yeah, that's long gone. I guess users. What would a mega city administrator be like? Also, what would be the difference between administrators and of the two different ones? There would have to be some kind of local government, right, to deal with the particular demands of that city. Because, for example, this city right here probably has a problem with water, if there is one there. I know it's a tiny little dot on your screen. I apologize for that. I can't make this any bigger because it's not a great map. But say there was a city that originally was built next to a river or a series of rivers or something, and all those rivers have grown up. They would have to deal with no time travel. That's like a hard limit as well. I'm not going to do time travel. That's not something that appeals. No, well, I mean, I know how to zoom up, but then you get all this stuff. You're not really missing anything. computer. You're really not missing anything. There you go. So now you can see the dots a bit better. Hooray. So to deal with the particular challenges of a particular city, you would have to have a exactly computer. That's why I'm not particularly, you know, fussed about showing this in too much detail, because I was just kind of like mucking around. I thought, you know, I'll do this kind of later. I don't really know much about Agniton anyway. But yeah, so in answer to the question, you know, what would a mega city administration be like? I think there would be like a head office at some point somewhere in one of these, but then there will be local government in the rest of them. That's what I'm kind of like babbling on to say. There is, yeah, Tail. And again, this isn't something that particularly appeals to me, but if we look at the world timeline, so Iosia, the post-apocalyptic world, fantasy world, lasts for about 1500 years. The current year is 688, so we've still got a long way to go, and there's still things that can happen like after the current time as well. So maybe like Rune is refounded and stuff like that. I don't know. Maybe like Rune can become the agency because it's like the most powerful human realm. But then after that, we've got 500 years for magic to disappear, and then 2000 years before Agniton becomes into what we're talking about, which is plenty of time for people to develop, you know, for them to spread across the world, to develop, you know, technologies and that kind of thing, and then for the Industrial Revolution to happen. And in almost, because there are parallels to this world, because again, this world's kind of like what I'm going off. We kind of like start to screw things up a little bit, although these guys do it at a more accelerated rate, and then suddenly most of the world anyway is complete barren wasteland, so like, oh crap, all right, let's consolidate what we have type thing. So what level of technology was Iosia at 1500? Right here, are you asking, or are you using Iosia for the whole world? Cities connected by real world creates opportunities for bandits and terrorists that need to patrol the wasteland. Yeah, Cell. I do like the idea of it, I have to admit. I'm not going to say that is canon right now, but it does appeal. So some sort of transport network between the cities, but I don't think it would be a public transport network, so I don't think they would want people going from one place to another too much. I don't think there'd be a massive need for it. The only reason that they would do it is sort of en masse, in case, say, there was a massive industrial accident or something that completely levels a couple of city blocks or something, which in this sort of scenario could possibly work, because I imagine quite a lot of the structures aren't very sound, and it's like, oh damn, well, we need quite a lot of people who know about this, right? We'll get it from this other city, and so they would move them across country, but they'll put them in trains without windows, I think, and or whatever, you know, and try and control it as much as possible. But I think for like officials and stuff like that, yeah, they would probably have some sort of transport network. It would go like thousands and thousands of miles, so it would have to be pretty advanced. But classic train house scenario as well. Yeah, so and of course trade as well, because like I was saying, one area might not have much water, but be really good at creating some sort of good or fuel, for example. And so yeah, okay, so that's actually the answer, isn't it? And that's why you would need the transport network, is for like trading goods and stuff. Good. Yeah, that's nice. That's something I probably would have thought eventually, but it's nice that you guys are here to then say, oh, and this. I'm like, that's it. That's sort of the little jigsaw piece that I was missing in my head, where I'm like, you know, there's something I'm missing here that's like pretty big and obvious, and there we go. Makes sense. One could imagine it both ways. The agency has some sort of procedure to make all of them exactly the same, some sort of enforced to move more naturally occurring admin structure. Yeah, indeed, absolutely. Crisscrossing railway could also create the borders of different wasteland regions are isolated by the tracks. Quite possibly. Yeah. Yeah. Yeah, so then you can divide the world up into zones. So you could have like zone 1 there, zone 2, 3 and stuff like that. And it'll be a bit of a reference for, instead of having this massive world full of nothing, you could at least say, well, zone 1 has, you know, this and zone 2 has that sort of thing. And I think numbering them kind of works. But, you know, that's just a really simple, easy way of doing things. So yeah, that's I'll write that down as well. I like it. Love it. Love it, guys. It's good chat. Enjoying it. Hopefully you guys are as well. Suppose there's a general RL time period to rate technology-wise. Yeah. To see, well, I'll read that again. All right. So I suppose there is a general real-life time period to relate technology-wise. Yeah, it's like the real world, I guess. Which again is not really the focus. I've kind of like skipped these 2,000 years. They don't interest me massively. Or these 2,000 years even, I should say, it was the same thing. So we can say, yeah, they developed certain technologies, and that'll get into the world building thing, which I'll get into at the end of the stream, which won't be too long actually, I don't think. Like how much was magic integrated into life as opposed to tech? In this, well, in Agneton, like not at all, obviously, but in Eosia, probably a lot more so. Magic versus technology, so now humans can paint their vehicles red and make them go faster, demon of destruction. Maybe. Does it have human technology fusion? I don't think so. Alright, so I think now is probably a good time to talk about what my plans are moving forward. Because Agneton is quite an underdeveloped kind of setting, right? I've pretty much covered everything I know about it in the stream, which isn't a lot, and I think it's quite an intriguing setting. And I've written one story about it, but that is set on what is known as off-grid, which is when you're not on grid, you're not. So in the cities is on grid, and then outside the cities is off grid. So it was an off-grid story involving Beriax, or what he's known as the boy. At that point, and it's pretty much a dumping island. So when things aren't really needed, these sort of like flying ships laden with cargo go over this island and just dump stuff on it, and then they leave. And there is an 80s action film, and he grows up there with a bunch of other kind of misfits and stuff who have escaped there to escape the agency's rule. See, look at that. 2015, I'm a freaking goddamn it. That's the last thing I wrote as well. Isn't that sad? This is the last major thing that I released. That's just tragic. So I know a little bit about this, but I don't know much about Agneton like on grid. And Agneton's almost two settings. It's the on grid area within the cities, and it's off grid within the wastelands and such like that. Need to go and eat. Mrs. calling me. I assume I can watch the rest back later. Yeah, I'm going to post this on the YouTube channel for Tyania. Your world, superb, demon of Novio, right? You should write it down somewhere. You absolutely should write it down, and you should put it on the Discord as well. And by the way, if people like want to see different rooms on the Discord and stuff, let me know. just as an aside. But back to what I'm going to be doing over the next couple of days. Like I said, there's two settings here. So, and I'm really interested right now in the on-grid side within the cities. So I'm going to be using this book here, 30 Days of World Building. And what this book does, I've got the Kindle version, is, and I'll post this link into the chat, is that I'm going to be doing this over the next 30 days. I'm going to take tomorrow off. I'm going to start this on Sunday. But, you know, I said I was going to work every Sunday. This is going to be the next 30 days. And it pretty much asks you 30 questions about the world that you're creating. And some of them are like really short and punchy, and some of them are fairly in-depth. So some of them are like... some of them are like where do people get their food from and things like that. And some of them ask about magic and that kind of thing. So on some days there'll be barely anything to do, and then some days it'll be fairly in depth. But it asks you 30 questions about your world. And then after that, you'll have the 30 really important questions answered about your world. So that's what I'm going to be doing over the next 30 days. I'm not going to, I mean, out of respect for the author, I'm not going to go on Twitter and say question 1 was this, question 2 is that, because then you wouldn't have to like buy the book. But I'll be updating the website accordingly. Maybe not every day, you know, maybe every week or whatever. I will be adding things into. Should have like an up button, shouldn't I? Like to home, because some of these sections are quite long. Into here, and then we'll kind of like see how that works. I'm not part of Discord like that, but maybe being around actual people who write crap will get me to sit down and write my stories. Absolutely, Demon of Destruction. That's not the Discord. That's the. You want this one. The other one is for my gaming channel, but close one computer. But yeah, that's exactly kind of what I want, is that as well as kind of developing Tyania, chatting like this, I'm hoping it's fine computer, you know, you didn't know. Might get you guys thinking about things that you've done and sort of get those juices flowing, those creative juices kind of just like working around and thinking, hey, you know what, I might pull out those old notes that I did a couple of years ago. I might have a little look. I might see about maybe adding a bit to that or opening the old story and that kind of thing. And I really hope you do. Really, really hope you do. Demon. If you do, let me know. And the Discord will be a really good place to put that. And currently the Discord is pretty bare bones, because I've just kind of like just made it. So we've pretty much only got stuff that I have to have. The main links so you can find stuff. Update blog, which is where I'll put like I've updated stuff. Moderated only, which is something that I have to have. And then a welcome channel so people can say hi, Aaron Works. A general bit, share your work and give me feedback. So if we need any more than that, then kind of like let me know, right? And I'll add things here and there as needed. You're already on the People Discord? Absolutely, yeah. You can. The other one's going to be more focused on this kind of thing. I don't want there to be too much of an overlap between my gaming and my creative writing, which is something that Computer sort of like asked about. Have you tried the links link? Oh boy. Oh damn, it doesn't work. I knew there'd be something, you know. Just a second. Knew about the second one, that's cool. Yeah, the links isn't working. That's a shame. Thing is, I did try it. I tried it before the stream. Maybe, actually, it just needs... Huh. Alright, hang on. There's the link to the Discord. But yeah, everything's on the main page anyway, so you can just click on these. I knew something would not work, and there we are. At least it's a fairly minor thing, because all the links just link to stuff that's on Tyania.com. Another little break. Good for you, Rube. Good for you. In the last couple of months, I wrote notes on world regions. I think the 45 I have now are enough. Absolutely, Aaron works. Absolutely, 45 regions. I mean, I have like. How many do I have? Let's have a little look. So we got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Really, 8, 9. The steps in the sky I put together. And that's more than enough for me. It used to be a lot more. It used to be probably double this, and I've slowly brought them in, so that they're more concise and more concentrated, more focused on what they're supposed to be. So we get into the end of the stream. I don't want this to last much more than 90 minutes, and currently the recording is 1 hour 17, 18. So we'll get on to kind of like final thoughts. So the next 30 days, I'll be doing this 30 days of world building by a Trevina, and I hope that'll really flesh out Agnita. And if that works really well, then I'll do it for the off-grid world as well, depending on kind of like how it goes and how I feel and things like that. So that's my plan moving forward. So you can expect a couple of updates on that, because I want to hit the ground running with this. Minimum, I'll be doing something on this every Sunday morning. And it's surprising, you know, if I do like 2 hours every Sunday morning, 100 hours a week, 100 hours a year even, which mounts up, and that's like the minimum rate. So we'll kind of see how we go with things. So if you want to keep up with this kind of thing, because it won't appear on this channel anymore, I will put them onto this Twitter and this here Discord. There is a link to this Twitch channel, but if I'm going to do any more live streams, I might do them on YouTube, on this YouTube channel, which currently has like absolutely nothing there right now. It does. It's got things hidden in the background, but nothing's been made public yet, because I wanted to premiere them on this stream. Oh, other modules for iOS. You mean on IRPG? On this, that one? Probably, okay, well, because IRPG is quite. Have you played it before? Tail, because I'm going to answer the question first. I'd probably say Poison Source. I mean, they're all good, obviously. They're all great. But you can, if you've got like a couple hours spare, you can watch someone else play through them. Poison Source is pretty nice. But Trials of Orthane is just like a one dungeon, just dungeon crawl. So probably the Trials of Orthane, honestly, would probably be the best, thinking about it. Because you just get trapped in an ancient crypt and you gotta escape. That's pretty much it. So it's a real nice, concise little, probably the shortest. So yeah, so I would say the Trials of Orthane. You said there were different versions. Yeah, IRPG. Actually, I have them up here. We'll just like all these. I'm gonna redo. I did say this in the introduction video. IRPG is a very hardcore, old school role-playing game system. It's quite in depth, got an awful lot of stuff in there. Here's a character sheet and stuff. And while the rules themselves like aren't that complicated, they're a bit. They are okay. They're. I'm not too happy with it. Pretty much, I'm not too happy with it in terms of what I want from like a more, because my tastes have changed, right? So now I'm looking for a more modern, easy to use kind of like slick rule system, because this has all these rules. Well, most of them are equipment and stuff like that, you know. So they're not all pages and pages of rules. There's a lot of content here. And then, so this is the main rule book. And then you've got the Dungeon Master's Tome, or Games Master's Tome, with even more, with even more stuff. Like, and it goes into all things like the effects of darkness and light and social classes and languages and different types of damage and starving and multiple attacks and all sorts of stuff. And different special abilities for all the different skills. So every one of these skills has more abilities you can add to them. So there's an awful lot of stuff in there, Chaos. There's an awful lot of stuff, and it is a really in-depth, big system. And I spent a lot of time on it. And then of course you've got all the spells as well. In a different book, you've got all the different spells. All the different light arc, and in this there's a mind arc which has since been removed, and yeah, and then there are different effects depending on how difficult you make each spell. And I'm kind of gushing because, you know, I haven't looked at this in ages, and it's a big system. Is IRPG. ARPG, I'm a lot happier with. It reads a bit better. It's a bit more concise, and I like the system a little better. Yeah, exactly, computer. Yeah, there's a lot of stuff in it. So there's just one page for the character sheet rather than two. So one of my projects moving forward as well is to make IRPG into this system, because I think it works a lot better. Pretty much you just roll these stats here, you decide how strong you are and how tough you are, and then that relates to your skills. So these skills are like derived attributes from your main attributes. And once you've done that, you're kind of done. So it's like that is that and that, and you do an average. And it's a lot simpler. And I enjoyed playing it a bit more, and I think my players that I played it with enjoyed playing it more. So, so it depends what you're looking for, really. It depends what you're looking for. If you want a really heavy, in-depth role-playing game system, then IRPG is for you. ARPG is a bit more, it feels a bit more modern, a bit lighter, a bit more slick, but this almost plays more like a board game. This has you don't have to use them, but it helps if you use these. It uses cards for the weapons, and you get like status abilities and stuff like that. So if I go all the way through the so it's like you put this next to your character on the board, like, you know, for whether they're standing up or leaning down or whether they're bleeding and all that kind of stuff. So it plays a lot more like a battle game, like a skirmishy version of 40k, but it's still at its heart a role-playing game. So it depends what you want. Really. Yeah, they're two like very, very different systems. Yeah, I don't know whether you want to tackle either of them, Tail. For newer players, go with this. If you've got like hours and hours to spend of the basic rules of IRPG aren't that bad, but there's a lot of content in there, right? And now you see why I keep this separate from the main channel. Yes. I mean, Champions game of superheroes is a magical girl. It's fun. As long as it's fun, that is the main thing. So another project is to make this. I'll keep IRPG version 1.4. I'll keep it as it is because there is a part of me that really enjoys lots of books, right? You know, old school. Well, I mean, even the modern day D&D has like lots of information, and so that's what this was trying to emulate. Whereas this is more like a modern light kind of version. So I'm going to make. I'm leaning more into this in this direction now. Absolutely. If you need any help with anything, Tail, you know, if you want to tackle one of these, then do let me know, and I will facilitate. Though, and there have been people in the past who have played IRPG and enjoyed it, because that was all there was out there. Now we have the alternative. One can always elaborate from a solid light systems foundation. Yeah, there is, because I was going to add rules for things like vehicles and stuff like that. Oh yeah, Death, you ran the cyborg who talks because silly. You ran that. It was fun. We've had a couple of games in the past as well, haven't we, though, Death? I'm sure we have. Back in the day. I know it involved Winston. Did it involve you? Can't remember. RPG. Yeah, I know. Yeah, I didn't mean yours, but yeah, we've played games. Yeah, I didn't make that up in my head. Yeah. So yeah, we've played IRPG. Absolutely. Yeah, it was a good one. It was a good one. Superb. All right. If you guys have any closing questions, then do let me know. If you've got anything you wanna ask. Otherwise, I'm going to toddle off. I will upload this onto the YouTube channel, and I will update Twitter and stuff with what I'm doing in regards to the 30 days of world building. Probably once a month or something, though, right? Good times, Death. Good times. And also, like, if anyone here is like happens to be, I don't know, like a graphic designer, or an artist or something like that, I've obviously had like really good people in the past who have drawn things for me. They've also composed music and such, like Grand Elemental. Not well, one specifically for Iosia, but he did let me like use his entire catalog. Or I guess users, no worries. But yeah, if you happen or know anyone, you know, if you haven't, then let me know, because I'm not great at this kind of stuff. Like this, I made like on a free website that let you make icons, and I just kind of like I kind of like it because it's like in 3, right? I kind of like this icon. I like it. Quite glad you're back at this. Awesome, Jack. Thank you. Always enjoyed your worlds and creations ever since I first started them. I appreciate it, Jack. I appreciate it. Art for a certain character would be nice. Yeah, maybe. Because I do regret that it's sort of like lost momentum. 4 years ago I stopped. I think it lost momentum, you know, like before then, but grown and matured since then, and a bit more stable in life, you know, fewer money worries and stuff like that. So yeah, we'll kind of see how we go. All right, I'm going to call it a day then. Oh, another thing would be nice for people submitting their campaign. What is an AAR and things? What's that? You guys stop using acronyms. If you guys have any like ideas for the Discord after action reports. Oh, you mean if they actually play stuff? Oh yeah, I mean, I wouldn't expect anyone to do that. I mean, you know, but if they did, yeah, if anyone like tries anything on this website, if you read any of the stories, which are obviously quite old, and I'll just add that little caveat, all the stories are old, and I'll do a much better job now, even though I've not written in over 4 years. Let me know, if you spot any typos or anything. Let me know on the Discord, especially on the feedback page and things like that. I'd appreciate it. Or send me a DM, or however you want to get in touch. It's quite easy to do. And I want to thank each and every one of you for joining me for this stream. I do hope it certainly helped me, and I hope that it helps you guys with your stories and things like that. Or just if you're vaguely interested, superb. Thank you so much. And if you're watching on the Tyania YouTube channel, thank you as well, and toodaloo.